Hi folks, this is All the Fruit. I'm in the beautiful city of Heidelberg in Germany. It's towards the end of March and there are almost no fruit. Well, the last 2 years we got spoiled by fruit in spring in Germany because, of two quite unusual phenomena. The only one was the very mild winter combined with the pretty dry summer in the previous year, so a lot of autumn fruit actually made it throughout winter and into spring. In March and April you could still forage a multitude of autumn fruit, some of them even into June. And at the same time we had a very warm spring, so that the spring fruit, basically like cherries, strawberries, mulberries, you could already enjoy them in April. Well, this year we had a more normal winter with temperatures up to minus 12 degrees. Also spring, it's already quite warm and sunny, but I don't think that we'll have spring fruit like cherries and strawberries within the next 4 weeks. And so what shall we do if we have no fruit? Well, we're gonna eat very young fruit or flowers. And as you can see, the grass still hasn't really started to grow much. The meadows, the grass basically looks more or less like in winter, but there are already a lot of spring flowers here. Well, if the architecture looks familiar to our American viewers, this is a former US barracks turned student dorm now. Well, and let's see what we can eat here. Well, the daisy, such a beautiful little flower, and you can find it throughout the year. Actually, even in winter, if there are a couple mild days, the little daisies will start growing. You can eat every part of them. Of course, the flowers are the best. What do they taste like? They have a bit of this asteraceae flavor. Yeah, so they taste flavorful. What do we have here? Oh, got Aerophila. What was the English name for Aerophila? I forgot it, but it's in the... is it in the mustard family? Oh God, I'm so confused now. Was Aerophila in the mustard family? Well, there is one easy way to find out. It is in the mustard family. I don't know the English name, but it tastes of mustard. The German name is Hungerblümchen or hunger flower. I don't know if this is because you eat it when you are really hungry, you harvest it only when you are really hungry, or maybe because it looks so small, but since it's a very early spring flower, look, here are already the seeds, the fruit, where there are sort of tiny mustard seeds inside. Yeah, sorry for not looking up the English name on this one. What else do we have? Well, under this black locust tree, which is fertilizing the ground, there are a lot more flowers. Let's see what we have here. Dead nettle. You can eat all parts of the dead nettle, but the flowers are particularly good because if you are lucky, you can actually taste the nectar drops inside. The celandine or celandine, well, this is kind of a tricky name because there are several plants called by this name, and some of them are really toxic. Even this here, Ranunculus ficaria or Ficaria verna, is toxic, but it was also extremely valuable to our ancestors. In German it's called Schabockskraut, which means scurvy wheat. Well, because this was the thing used to cure scurvy. Why this? Does it have some magic anti-scurvy properties? Well, scurvy is a lack of vitamin C, which in older times was quite common in cold areas, also on ships. Well, because scurvy is so common in cold areas, for example, the Inuit, which were called Eskimos by the Europeans. Eskimos means somebody who eats raw fish. Well, they were eating raw fish to get their vitamin C. In Europe, in spring, this was basically the first greens you could forage after the winter. And so people would eat them. First they would eat the leaves. When the fruits arrive, when the flowers come up, the leaves are already quite bitter and hot, and also hot and spicy, and also have a mouth-watering quality, which is not very pleasant. This is my rule of thumb. Whenever the flowers appear, the leaves are too old to eat in any plant, so eat the flowers. Also, after floods, you can find a lot of the little bulbs or tubers of this plant accumulating at the edge of rivers and streams, and actually after floods usually most of the other crops are being destroyed, so those tubers were an important foodstuff usually after the winter floods. What else do we have? Oh, I see several edible things now, but I've forgotten their English names, or never learned their English names. Of course, violets, a very beautiful and also very tasty flower. This wonderful violet flavor. They are great for I think there was even a slight sourness to this one. They are great for basically flavoring all types of dishes like salads and stuff. The French even they coat them with sugar and sell them. Well, what else? Cardamine, another, not cardamom, but cardamine. Cardamine, I think this is Cardamine amara probably. Another plant from the mustard family. Tastes a lot like mustard, or like even a little bit like wasabi. Very nice when it's that young. You can use it a lot in salads. Of course, pretty much all those edible flowers, you can also eat the leaves, but I still want to stick a little bit at least to the theme of this channel, which is about fruit. So I thought, okay, flowers can be considered very young fruit, and now there are very few fruit around, so let me do a fruit video, a flower video. But yeah, of course, usually whenever you eat the flowers, you can also eat the leaves. As a rule of thumb, not always, of course, there are exceptions. But usually when flowers are edible, leaves are also. But be careful, because also whenever the flowers arise, usually the leaves are so old that they are already starting to accumulate toxins and other bitter and bitter and spicy and pungent chemicals, so that often when the flowers are edible, the leaves are not edible anymore. The dandelion, a lot of people like dandelion salad, but you can do a lot with the flowers, of course. Also put them in salads, or you can basically soak them in water for a night, and then you have some sort of really golden cold tea that you can also eat the flowers. A lot less bitter than the leaves. I totally approve of that. The leaves are always a little bit too bitter for me. Well, here amongst the dead nettle, there is something which looks like a tiny dead nettle, but it's actually a ground vine. Yeah, it's a relative of the dead nettle, and you can also eat everything. Well, basically the whole plant, as long as it's young enough. Quite spicy. I mean, spicy not as in hot, but as in aromatic. So you should use it wisely. maybe don't do a salad just of ground wine, but mix it with other things. Yeah, there are also a lot of other edible spring flowers here, but I don't want to extend the video too much. Also a lot of things not flowering now where you can already eat the leaves. But yeah, there are urban foraging channels which can teach you that. I just made this video basically out of frustration because I don't find, oh, let me eat a couple more of the wonderful violets, because I don't find enough fruit at the moment. But yeah, stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos, which will hopefully come up soon from the beautiful city of Heidelberg. Enjoy one more patch, which is basically flooded in flowers here. Yeah, and of course, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.